Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right, Angie, and also ladies and gentlemen in here, we are going to move to the next agenda, I believe, which is welcome speeches. And for the first speech, may I invite the Vice Rector for Cooperation and Alumni Affairs, Mr. Yafet Risi. For Mr. Yafet Risi, the floor is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big applause to Mr. Yafet Risi.
Good morning, everyone. Our distinguished speakers from Indonesia, Dr. Irin Luji, and also the honorable speaker, Professor Kanapan, also Professor Kusnul, and also our dear college, PCJC, and our friends, Tunjung Wijanarka. All participants who attended this morning seminar offline here, or online. First of all, I would like to thank the committee who have been working so hard to make this conference happen today. And all participants and dear speakers, we know that a gender theme has been a critical important issues that not only influenced many political leaders in the world, but also shaped the international political configuration. Or even gender theme has been also, in many cases, influenced political leaders in their decision in determining many important political decision, both in terms of the relations between nations or in relation to people-to-people relationship. For that kind of perspective, I think this conference will then enlighten our understanding and awareness about gender in the dynamics of international relations, and I do hope that this conference then will come up with the idea, conclusions that we all as human beings, no matter your gender is or are, we are equal before the law. We are human beings that have rights that need to be respected. And for that reason, we all need to encourage, need to work collaboratively to what we call justice. So justice needs to be served in terms of our gender relationship, but on top of that, we pray and we hope that during our collaboration and effortless work together, we then bring justice and peace in our relationship, especially in the international relations between nations. That is all what I have to say. Once again, I would like again to congratulate all distinguished speakers from Bangladesh and from Thailand and from Indonesia and all participants. And I do hope that this conference will bring up some more insights to all of us to do more in order to create an equal society, including in gender relationship. And having said that, by asking the grace of the Lord, I would like to officially open this conference.
Thank you, Mr. Yafet Rizi, for the warmest welcome for all of us. May God bless and protect you throughout your responsibility. Now, Alpha, we move to our next agenda.
What is that, Angie?
Now we are going to hear the second speech, and I invite the chairman of the committee, Mr. Roberto Seba. Mr. Seba, the floor is yours.
Please give a big round of applause for Mr. Seba.
Thanks, Alpha. You like Prime Minister of Malaysia. Okay. The Honorable Rector of Universitas Kristen Satya Wacana represents Vice Rector Mr. Yafet, the Honorable Dean of Faculty of Social Science and Communication Science, Mr. Daru, the Honorable all speakers, and dear seminar participants who are attending this event. Welcome to the International Seminar on the International Relations Department, Faculty of Social Science and Communication Science. Highest appreciation from the university leader and faculty leader for us holding this seminar. Hopefully, in this seminar, we will gain experience and knowledge related to gender equality, how men and women can share roles in development both in national and global context. Thanks for joining. We wish you can enjoy this seminar and take positive benefit from it. God bless all.
Okay, thank you so very much, Kak Vino. Thank you so very much. You may please be seated. All right. Thank you so much, Kak Vino, for your warm welcome. And also may God bless you and guide you throughout your responsibility, not just as the head of International Relations Department, but also as one of the lecturers and part of the big UKSW family. Thank you so much, Mr. Vino. All right, Angie, I think we're going to move to the next agenda, aren't we?
Yes, of course, Alpha. In this session, we are going to hear a lot of new viewpoints from our insightful speaker regarding the gender in the dynamics of international relations.
Interesting.
So, without further ado, let us invite our moderators for today's discussions. And I think he's no stranger to all of us, Alpha.
Oh, who's that? I'm so curious right now.
Yeah, especially for international relations student in UKSW. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give your biggest applause for Mr. Tunjung Wijanarka. So, Kak Tunjung, the floor is yours for the next 200 minutes.
All right.
Thank you very much, Alpha and Angeline. And this is very pleasure for me to sit here to guide the gender in international relations dynamic. So, first of all, this is the hybrid seminar that conducted by the class of Gender and International Relations of Satya Wacana Christian University. And because it is a hybrid, we have 3 speakers online and 1 speaker that physically can joining us here. And so let's call the physically person who are here, Mrs. Irene Luji, PhD. Please give applause for her. So, good morning, Mrs. Luji. So actually, we are living in the context of the masculinity world. That means that we are still lack of the equality concept, that we are still in the concept of that men are still above the women. In the context of our patriarchy, how the women cannot be same as the men. So we are have for fascinating people that can give their perspective in this gender and international relations. So we, if I can say hello firstly and shortly to check the sound and the connectivity. Kak Jessie, can you hear me? Okay, thank you, Kak Jessie. Yeah, it's clear. Okay. For the second, Professor Pam, can you hear me? I can hear you well. Thank you. And the third speaker, hello Kusnur, can you hear me? Okay, we are still waiting. And so, the first session, if I can go to the first speaker, she is the lovely person, and she's our lecturer too. She's called Patsy Jessie Ismoyo, and we are already know her as Kak Jessie. And if I can read her educational background, she's got her bachelor degree from the French Literature, Universitas Indonesia, and the master degree from European Studies, Universitas Indonesia. And right now, she is still pursuing her doctoral degree from the Interreligious Studies of Universitas Gadjah Mada. And at this day, at 12, she's got her dissemination doctoral degree, so good luck for her. And maybe the time is yours, Kak Jessie, maybe for 20 until 25 minutes from now. Please, Kak Jessie, you can, maybe the committee can please help Kak Jessie sharing the screen.
Okay, thank you. While waiting, the committee is preparing the slides. Maybe to everyone that attended offline in the Santiago Christian University. A very good morning to each and one of you. To all of my beloved colleagues and students, I hope that we'll always last with hope and safety within this beautiful morning. Maybe first of all, let me thank the organizer, the International Relations Study Program, for organizing and for inviting me in this forum. It is an honor to me being in the same panel with the speakers, I believe, whose experience certainly has far more than mine. And I hope that even though I got the information much very solid, I can meet the expectations. Through this great presentation that I want to share with you all today. And thank you also to Tunjuk for being the moderator. And as mentioned, you can call me Jessie, that is okay. I'm a PhD candidate from ICRS UGM, and my research is actually about the critical identity studies, which focus on the intersections between the gender identity and religions, and I'm also teaching staff at the International Relations Study Program at Santiago Christian University. And as you can see in my slides, today I'm going to present a little bit about the queer and international relations that I give the title Reconstructing Another Space and Constructing Other Space. So maybe you can move it to the next slides. There's the following is an outline of the presentation that I'm going to deliver. Firstly, discuss a little about the queer and international relations, and I'm going to explain a little bit about our notions of gender. Then my discussion continues in the context of Indonesian, to be specific, related to the gender state and the anti-LGBT panic that happened in 2016, which influenced our understanding of gender and sexuality, related to the concept of forming of the nation state. And I'm going to end with the case study that I'm researching now in the Bisu community in the South Sulawesi. Maybe in the next slide, please. Okay. Yeah. As you can see that maybe not many talks when it comes to relations and queer in Indonesia because this topic is sensitive and invites a lot of debates. However, I think that it needs to be underlined that the academic world is a realm that opens to question after questions about things that happen around us. And we cannot deny that this phenomenon is present and we can find it all around us. And I think the option to discuss it in the forum entitled Gender Dynamics in International Relations is going to be an important agenda to see how the issue evolves from so many perspectives. And again, I'm not expert in this matter, but we can learn from each other with the question. I think what can we know when we talk about international relations and queer, or queer international relations? As you can see, I'm quoting from FISKOM and Cynthia Weber, they said that queer international relate a new field. It is for more than 20 years. Queer international relations scholarship has focused on how normativities and/or non-normativities associate with categories of sex, gender, and sexuality, systematically test international formations of power in relation to institutions like heteronormativity, homonormativity, and cis-normativity, as well as through queer logic of statecraft. And I also quoted that for the queer studies, it changed common sense assumptions about heterosexuality as default sexuality and kinship, or as we know as heteronormativity, and the twin premises of the two or the opposites and complementary gender position, or known as the cis-sexism. And I think it's important to see how queer international relations examine the social construction of gender and sexualized subjectivity dysfunction through the institutionalized understandings of gender and sexuality as the normal and as purposeful as well as the normal. And I think the main point when we talk about the queer international relations, I want to emphasize Bosowski Sedgwick, as she describes the queer as the point of departure, by meaning that when we talk about the queer international relation, it is the open mass of the possibilities, of gaps, of overlaps, of this is dissonance or dissonance, or the lapse of access, of meaning when the constituent element of anyone's gender, of anyone's sexuality, can be made to signify normativity. Probably can we go to the next slide, please? And I think there's several questions raised by several academics in discussing queer international relations, but in my discussion this time, I'm going to try to answer. So there is a key question. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yes. So there's a key question on queer studies and international relations that I want to address the last questions, in which like, how is the process of forming a modern nation state related to heteropatriarchal family relation, and how these things is actually related to gender, our knowledge or our understanding of gender There's a Balian version of Kawan from Dayak Kaiju, Manang Bali from Iban, and Bisu from South Sulawesi. I'm going to focus with about the Bisu, but maybe a little bit explanations about the Balian, Basir, and Kawan. Bali Basir, probably many of you heard that it is described as male hermaphrodite. They are symbolizing of organic or sacredly, the religious symbol of the Legendary tribe, and also the Balian. Balian is the priestesses, the woman priest, resembles the characteristics to the tree that is also sacred to the Dayak tribe. And the tree also manifesting as a symbol of their life as the source of living water. And the power in the Dayak tribe is not only male praise but also female praise, but they also express the gender ambiguity. For example, that we can see male handlers in the Dayak tribe who have a long female-like hair. And it also the similar thing that we can find in the Manambali, in the Iban tribe. Manambali is actually a traditional healer. They are responsible for ritual healing, and they are called as the gender non-conforming Balinas Mana, and they are this part of this small part of group of healers, and they also refer as transform healers. While they have this female body living actually as a man, and the majority usually men living as a woman. And some researchers say that Manang Bali, they identify with no sex and both sexes at the same time. So the ambiguity of sexes actually manifesting their sacredness as a healed Iban tribe. And focusing to the last one, the Bisu community, it is also the same. Bisu as a normative gender, they are either a male or female, and they are a religious spiritual leader in Buddhist people. In the Buddhist people in South Sulawesi, the society acknowledges the importance of the existence of the indigenous ancestors in their myth called Ilagalitu. So in their myth, there are the story about the sun, the moon, and in between how the Bisu presents as a connector between the dunia atas and dunia bawah, or in this language we call the Dewan and Mino. Maybe the next slide, please. So what I want to convey here is how the religious situation in Indonesia is actually very close to a changing understanding of gender and sexuality in Indonesia. Probably first point is the first notion that you just heard about the three tribes in Indonesia. The first notion is actually about the gender coordinator IPA rose as a heteronormative policy. Maybe we can move to the next. We can move to the next slide, please, because we can see that how policy in the field of regulations, like for example, in the we can thank you. We can also see in the anti-pornography law. What I want to say that this negative stigma grows into heteronormative policies that give birth into the heteropatriarchal kind of thinking of a nation state in Indonesia. So also the program of FISKOM, as you can see that through the state egoism, which is the state ideology in Indonesia, it was first copied by Julia Kusuma in her book. It is actually her thesis, but in fact the term egoism or egoisme in Indonesia and West Indonesia was started to be echoed by Madelon Jayadiningrat in the 1980s. So Madelon Jayadiningrat, she is a Dutch Indonesian, a female academic in the Netherlands. She coined the term egoism at how the state domesticated women through the jargon, through the sayings of becoming mothers again. So the domestications of women actually have kind of affecting the heteropatriarchal and male domination in Indonesia, and in some way also affected the existence of indigenous spirit in Indonesia. And the second thing that are very closely related is the family planning ideology, the NKTBS. The ideology of the family planning applied in the New Order era relies on the heteropatriarchal family relationship. So heteropatriarchal, as you know that, as a family, as a family, we usually have the father and the mother and the children, and the father takes on the masculine role of the breadwinner, and the mother takes of the domestic area, and the sons will follow the footsteps of the fathers, and the mothers will soon follow the steps of the mother, working on the domestic area. So everything that plays role outside the employment family function is actually considered deviant or sin or heretic. So this kind of thinking, the state egoism and the family kind of planning, it is kind of exacerbate stigma attached to gender identities that do not meet this kind of constellation. And what we can see is the rejection of the queer movement, because it is also considered not to follow the country's religions or cultures or ideology, right? Maybe we can go to the next slide as I explained, so we can see that when we talk about queer, we also talk about the anti-LGBT panic that happened in 2016, as we know as a conservative term, which that anything that outside the constellation of gender and sexuality, binary thinking, we consider as a sin, as a threat, as a national threat. I want to underline the national threat. We regard it as a threat, national threat to demoralize the nation. So as the of the making of the nation state, we classify anything outside the binary thinking as a threat, national threat to demoralize the country. Whereas the power to marginalize the gender marginal of the queer people works toward, I think what this is called the kinship system. So in Indonesian society, it's kind of works like a kinship of shame. So it is publicly accepted for regulating not only gender identities but also for sexualities. And this kinship of shame seems light of the discrimination that happened because of the sexism and family ideology in the country. And how many times do I have? Probably because there's a...
Hello,
Yes, yes.
Kak Jessie, you have 5 minutes left.
5 minutes left.
Okay.
And some of my times too. It's very interesting. Probably, maybe we can jump into the case. At least for Sasso Lacy, please. What I want to mention about the queer international relation and how it relates to the queer groups from South Sulawesi, I think I tried to look further at how they are known as the fifth gender and doing the upper and the middle words. And however, their roles and position are increasingly shifting to the heteropatriarchal values and masculine domination. And in the case that occurred in this community, violence occurred against them in the form of large-scale killings or the massacres that happened during the Tobaran operation, or it is called the repentance operation, led by the Italian from the 1960s. The massacre happened due to the attempt to purify Islam. So the Ilagaligu, the texts that belong to the tribe and Bisu, they are considered not following the Sharia of Islam. So Mapatoba happened due to this escalated sentiments, this religious adherence. So at that time were associated with the acid, with the sharing, with the athletes, so they are forced to dress like men. If they are refused, they will be executed. And this brought deep trauma to the people, and they did not appear for the next 3 decades until 1990s. And these lingering heteropatriarchal values from the previous talents were maintained, were continued, and finally became visible with the conservative term occurred. And I think it's become visible when the politicization happened. It kind of gave birth to the various factions of Islamic movements in South Sulawesi, and most of them are conservative ones, the fundamentalists. I'm sorry. So this conservative turn kind of turned the dynamic of social political settings in Indonesia, which moved the right-wing majoritarian Islamists, the margins to the centers after the fall of Suharto. So it is marked by increasing the intolerance in Indonesia during the Reformation era, as it happened to the non-normative gender, or the gender that outside the binary thinking, not only gender identity, but also gender sexuality. And I think we can see as we can find it in the rise of various Islamic movement in South Sulawesi, like Laskar Tunggulah or Islamic Defenders Front or Laskar Jihad or the Asul Sunnah wal Jamaah Forum, Mujahidin Council. There's a lot more which are movements and parties based on Islam with the same goals as an agenda to enforce Islamic law and implement Islamization in various aspects of social and life. And I want to highlight that it is no longer about, it's not only about Islam, but also there's an anti-Western sentiment that lead those groups against queer. So maybe as a closing statement that maybe we can also discuss later, I want to close democratic and modern, secular, so to those that may be associated with the gay family. So when we think in a kind of binary, we define those countries, the other secular, becoming a homophobic, traditional, religious, and static. But I think that the interpretation of that kind of thinking, it's limited to one singular narrative. So in Indonesia, for example, when we talk about the queer movements or queer activism, we not only talk about the liberal gay rights, but we also talk about many those layers of activism that actually, I think, the voice is absent because the rights and criminalizations of same-sex sexual activities or because of the religious model of thinking and this kind of mentalist groups use, shaping the BISU or with the indigenous group that I also mentioned earlier, like the Balian Basir or the Mangali. So what I want to emphasize that this nationalist imagination placed BISU in a very critical position when I interviewed one of the BISU, they also mentioned that they are trying to advocate their rights, but it is very, very hard and very, very challenging to position themselves, specifically from the warrior community, for example, or from the transgender community, because in that way they kind of one movement, but also have different agenda. I think I might want to stop there for you, and might continue later, so the others can also share their presentation. Thank you.
Give applause to Kak Jessie, please. It is very interesting that the dissertation of Kak Jessie is about the BISU people, and we already know that Indonesia actually consists of the gender diversity before we get the homophobic and the gender singular point of view. So thank you, Kak Jessie, for your presentation. We are going to the next second speaker, that fascinating woman, Mrs. Irene Luji, PhD. If I can read her educational background firstly, she's got her theological degree from UKSW in 25, and she's got her master degree from the Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary in 2013, and she's got her doctoral degree recently, actually, from the Claremont Graduate University in 2021, and she's right now want to discuss further about the proposing the ethics of solidarity as the basis for gender justice in a disconnected global world. The time is yours, maybe for 20 until 25 minutes, Miss.
Thank you, Pak Tunjung, for this opportunity. Terima kasih. Thank you, Kak Jessie, for the wonderful presentation. What an insightful research that you did. Friends, I was contacted yesterday to be a part of this seminar since Dr. Mekelberg was not able to participate this morning, so thank you to the committee for thinking of me. Thank you, Pak Vino, for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my work in this seminar. The title of my presentation is Proposing the Ethics of Solidarity as the Basis for Gender Justice in a Disconnected Global World. I try as hard as possible to make it as close as possible to the main topic, which is gender in the dynamic of international relations. So I will talk about that. Pak Tunjung, please remind me when I have 5 minutes left. Friends, there are 3 parts to this presentation. First, I will discuss what I meant by the term disconnected global world. In the second slide, next slide please. Second, I will present the examination of the 2 main concepts that I mentioned on my title, which are gender justice and the ethics of solidarity. In this second part, I will examine the explanation of gender justice using Anka Gias' perspective. Gias is a political philosopher who is interested in gender and distributive justice. She focuses on normative significance of personal relationship, and she wrote many about applied ethics. I will also talk about the concept of solidarity in the work of Joseph Tiesner and Rebecca Todd Peters. Both wrote on the ethics of solidarity and are well known in the world as experts in moral philosophy. Last, the third part, I will present a short analysis, more like a theoretical framework on the ethics of solidarity as something that I propose as the basis for gender justice in a disconnected global world. So let's begin with what I meant by the disconnected global world. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you. We are now living in the 21st century, which is clearly the information age. This age has been shaped by the massive use of information technology, which in turn created global connectivity. As information technology expanded, globalization and interconnectivity developed together, and centered to this expansion is the internet. It makes possible for instant connectivity. We can communicate with each other as social beings at much greater speed and frequency, and this dynamic changed our lives forever. If I may ask friends in this room who is attending the seminar on site, is there any of you who does not have internet connection right now? Anyone? Looks like everyone have internet connection. So it has become a very important part of our life. Now, the original aim of the internet was to share knowledge. But today, this central purpose is being represented by the internet itself. The goal to share knowledge globally for free or at a low price that leads users to support the development of information and communication technology, also known as ICT, including the internet, has become what we have today, what experts call a fragmented interconnection. We are living in a fragmented interconnection where we trade our personal information and data privacy with that fragmented connection that we have. While the development of the internet shines a bright light for interdependency through interconnectivity, users, all of us, have now reached the point of what the expert called fragmented net. This is what I wanted to approach using the term disconnected. We are connected, but also disconnected. We have instant communication with the other, but no real awareness of the other. We can quickly form an online community, but we are slow in understanding the meaning of real community. Many of us, we have so many groups, for example, on WhatsApp. For each class, maybe 1 or 2 groups. It's easy to make those groups online, but do we really understand the meaning of being a part of such community? So there is this dialectic of disconnected, as stated in the title of this presentation, which refers to the experience of simultaneous connection and disconnection that coincides within this, we call it electronic global village, and the physical global world that we are living in. The word disconnected, if you saw it on the shared screen, that this is putting on inside the brackets, not only to indicate the existence of the implied element, but also to show the dialectical relation between connection and disconnection. The disconnected global world is characterized by several factors. The first, individuals and communities are always connected through the internet while also being disconnected. Second, when users are connected through the internet, they are not connected to what used to be believed as the open access virtual world. What users are connected to is a limited virtual world presented as unlimited virtual world because of what we already learned as unifract characteristic. Users are connected with the public data through the internet and disconnected from the real global data because of the filter bubble and the fragmented preference that the internet has set up based on the data and personal information the users have shared. We all have experienced this through social media, so this is not something that we are very foreign to. Second part, let's discuss the two key concepts in this presentation, which are gender justice and the idea of the ethics of solidarity. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. Anca Gias, like many of us, refers to gender, understand gender as social meanings that are associated with certain sex. Gender justice, therefore, have two aims. First is to eliminate unjustified gender norms. One of the reasons behind this aim is to give women and men and many other opportunities for advantageous outcomes, which would involve the elimination of gender norms. And second aim is to mitigate the disadvantages generated by unjustified gender norms. The aim is to eliminate gender norms that prevents women's fair trade or any of us to get a fair treatment in many places. Now, what do Anca means by norms? Norms here are to be understood very broadly. It can be laws, customs, and traditions, as well as individual expectations, such as stereotypes, which can be explicit or not, conscious or not. They can be internalized to include standards that people endorse, including expectation they have about themselves. So that's the gender justice that we wanted to achieve. And in order to support gender justice, I would like to propose the ethics of solidarity as a basis. I will present two explanations on the ethics of solidarity. First is from Joseph Tisner. What is the ethics of solidarity according to Joseph Tisner? Tisner started with the meaning of solidarity. Solidarity is a virtue born from the heart as an expression of a person's goodwill. So solidarity does not need to be imposed on a person from outside. The virtue is born all by itself, spontaneously from the heart. The dignity of a person is founded in their consciousness. The deepest solidarity is therefore solidarity of consciousness. Hence, the ethics of solidarity wants to be an ethic of consciousness. Tisner also talked about how we are called to carry another's burden because we are interconnected, we are united, even when we do not know it. So the two key values, the human consciousness and also the natural bond with those who suffer, should enable us to act in solidarity. The ethics of solidarity develops and becomes manifest in particular social system, in particular time and place. Solidarity is a solidarity with people and for people. Thus, it is a social phenomenon. Solidarity is founded on the conscience, and the stimulus for its growth is the cry for help from the other who has been hurt. Solidarity establishes specific interpersonal bonds between those who need help. So now, how are we going to practice this solidarity? Tisner proposed dialogue as a tool for solidarity. What kind of dialogue? Reliable dialogue brings about true revolution in the life of people and societies. So the first condition of dialogue is the ability to sympathize with the other's point of view. The first condition. It is not only about you have a compassion toward others, but it's something more. It's recognition that the other, from his point of view or her point of view, is always to some extent right. Dialogue is the building of reciprocity. The dialogue of solidarity is not just any dialogue. It's a dialogue about specific pain. This pain gives you the energy to pursue justice. Solidarity turns out to be something that comes from within the community that awakens hope and brings change. That's the first person that I wanted to quote in this presentation. The second person that I wanted to quote is Rebecca Todd Peters. She is very famous for her theory at theoetic solidarity. What is solidarity according to Peters? Solidarity for her is fundamentally both a theory and an action. So from the theoretical perspective, solidarity describes a state of being in which two or more distinct communities or groups or people develop a bond or a relationship based on a shared interest, value, or goals. That's the theoretical perspective, but that's not enough. Solidarity is never just about the theory. It's also about the praxis. So it's about developing new model for working across differences towards a common goal, towards the achievement of common goal. Solidarity, therefore, is the expression of support, partnership between people, between groups. Solidarity is the enactment of justice in the society. Just like what Tisner mentioned, it is the foundation to build and to transform the community. Peters, she mentioned 4 characteristics of this kind of ethics. The ethics of solidarity have 4 characteristics. First is what in Christian tradition we call metanoia. What is metanoia? Metanoia is a radical transformation. It's not just a change of heart, it's a change of mind, it's a change of your wholeness, your whole person. You change as a person. So the concept of metanoia does not simply refer to spiritual experience of transformation. It also suggests an accompanying transformation of behaviors and even lifestyle. The change that occurs in our life manifests in a change and enable us to think and act. The second characteristic is, if you wanted to practice the ethics of solidarity, you need to honor differences. Because differences will be there. Differences are there. It's a part of the fact and the reality. Solidarity implies a respect for difference. In the midst of working together with others towards achievement of common goal, it reflects a desire to maintain difference. There's no need to eliminate differences because we are all unique. Because we are uniquely, all the differences are uniquely important to our identity and to our common humanity. The third characteristic is accountability. Solidarity implies a relationship that goes beyond a mere meeting in the minds or agreement about ideas. It's a strong bond between people that calls for loyalty, calls for responsibility, compassion, and companionship. Last but not least is action. There is no use of talking about all the ideas of doing good if we don't actually do the good. So one of the key distinguishing factors of solidarity is that it is a state of being that demands that people who are in relationship of solidarity to be willing to act on behalf of one another as a result of the bond that they share. This means that the ethic of solidarity is an ethic of action. There's no solidarity without real action. Third part, also the last part of this presentation, if we can move forward. Let's continue. Yes. We've passed this part, and we're going to the last part. The PowerPoint is available if any of our friends wanted to see the details. So this is it. This is the last part of this presentation where I would like to propose the ethics of solidarity as the basis for gender justice in a disconnected global world. What should we do to achieve elimination of unjustified gender norms? What should we do to mitigate the disadvantages generated by unjustified gender norms? We can do many things. The ethics of solidarity is not the only answer, but it can be one of the alternative. First, focus on the human quality, the person quality, and acknowledgement of interdependence based on affirming equality. Second, practice constructive dialogue that strengthens solidarity and brings hope for the fulfillment of the common good. Next slide. The fundamental transformation, as we call it, metanoia. Metanoia manifests through transforming spiritual experiences, attitudes, and lifestyle into concrete thoughts and action, as actus humanus in Latin, as an acting person. Build that readiness to act. That readiness to act is the heart of interconnected community that wanted to create social justice. The ethics of solidarity is an action based on the person's ability to reach her full meaning, her full potential through consciousness by acting in an authentic attitude. Last, next slide, please. The ethics of solidarity acknowledge consciousness and participation as a unified aspect that enables a person to achieve the full meaning and potential as a person in relation to the other. Solidarity, therefore, offers an approach to ethics that is relevant to the context of the early 21st century. In the context of the disconnected world, a person can positively impact the negative damage of the extensive development of ICT in this globalized world. With the participation of a person, the social encounter through the internet that can lead to a new interaction that enables groups and relationships to form a stronger and deeper interdependency. Extensive internet use does not have to weaken the fabric of real community. Users do not have to be passively affected by technology, but can actively shape it when they use it. Online relationship can be the beginning of a quality relationship within the IU and the we relationship. The internet does not have to be the source of disconnecting in-person relationship. Instead, communicating built through the net could strengthen the in-person communication skills and relationship. So let's now build a virtual communities and also a real community. It can be a place where we all actively participate to bring change, to achieve what we all want, which is a gender justice for all. Thank you kindly for your attention. Terima kasih, Pak Tunjung.
Okay, it is very interesting that we have some perspective from Mrs. Irene that has perspective from the sociological religion studies, and we are actually connected, but not connected with this condition of the internet disruption. Digital disruption make us connected but not connected. So if you have any question, please take a note, and in this session, for the next session, you can ask for the question that you have. Okay, we have go to the third speaker. Hello, Kusnur, can you hear my voice? Hello? Yeah, I can hear your voice. Okay. Actually, Kusnur and I met in the international conference this year in the Hong Kong Baptist University, and we met there and we are become a friend. And She is kind, and thank you, Kusnur, we have you today. And she is actually want to discuss further about the women empowerment and women entrepreneur, because Kusnur got the Master of Development Studies from the Kulna University. And Kusnur, the time is yours, maybe for 20 until 25 minutes from now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, share the screen or use the presentation?
Hello, can you speak louder, please? I cannot hear your voice.
Just
Do you want to share for your own, or you need help to share your presentation?
no, okay, share. You share, please.
Okay, can the committee please help for sharing? Are you still with me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Maybe if you can share by on yourself, we are still preparing to help you to.
Okay, I can share. No worries. Just a moment. So
Okay.
I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
Just 1 minute. I guess you can share my, you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see yours.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me as the speaker, and also I'd like to express my gratitude to the Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Social Science and Communication Department, all the teachers of the faculty, the esteemed speaker of this seminar, and all my beloved audience. So let me introduce me first. This is Kushir Jahan, and welcome to you, and welcome to my presentation. And I'm from Bangladesh. So all of you, a very good morning from Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, to say good morning, we say, so, Shubho to everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. Okay. This talk, I'd like to discuss about an approach that calls we. We stands for Women Empowerment through Women Entrepreneur. So we say this is actually a path, a connection to achieve the gender equality in terms of economic and environmental sustainability. Okay. So in this presentation, actually I divided my entire talk to 4 main aspects. That stands for introduction, the human development, and some results as a result of human development, and finally implementation. So for introduction, I will, or the background, the knowledge gaps and objective of this approach, and also I would like to discuss about a brief about this approach. Well, in the human development section, I will discuss the starting area where we have done these interventions, and I will also share 2 stories of our human leader. I will have a look at how the water scarcity has been met and agricultural development ensuring the environmental sustainable practice have ensured. And in the last slide, I will also look at some limitations and future risks as well. So to begin with, first we need to know the gender gap in terms of economic development. So I will discuss later why I have selected particularly the economic development as a reason for the gender gap. So in this slide, you can see that So you can ask that all women cannot be involved in paid work. So if you can see the gender gap between men and women is 25%. So this is like a quarter percent that women they are not involved in any paid work. Okay. So we try to know that why the women engagement in economic development is so poor. So we have came to know that the first reason is the gender norms and stereotypes. So I would like to thank to my previous two speaker. They discussed the gender norms and stereotypes two good ways. So and then we have here. So the next is women's immediate family is a group of their student workers at home. So it is not actually happening in Bangladesh, but this is the scenario of globally. So global women actually face this particular problem from their family. If I take an example from me, my life, so I also face that problem from my family. So my brother and my cousins, they previously don't allow me to work outside my home. So I also face that problem. Okay. Another problem is the limited access to education and skill development. So we already know that in the global scenario, women and girls and women actually do not have the equal access and the appropriate access for education and the diversified skills development. For example, maybe other skills development that can lead them to the center of power, the center of the economy. Okay, and the third one, the unequal access to financial resources. This is actually happened more in Bangladesh and the Asian context. For example, this is also depending on religious aspects. In Islam, it has been said that women can get the half of two brother. And if you say the other religion, for example, the Hindu, the religion says that women cannot get any property. Just there's like some property incentive during their marriage, but after that they don't get it. So this is also another reason women's engagement in economic development is so poor. And also women passes their most of time, productive time to unpaid care work. These include like they cook for their family person, they take care of their child, they clean their house, and lots of work. But this work is not like not paid, and other family member like take care of the granted or like it's the duty of the women. So women have to do this. It's not a matter of payment. Okay, and also this actually leads that our women to limited representation and give their decision. But we also want to know this in my previous slide we see that the reason, but also wanted to know what women want. So in the other study, we want to say that 75% of our women prefer to work in terms of paid job regardless of the employment. So this is pretty good to know, and that's why we approach the WIBI. So in WIBI, I'm going to discuss about very brief what WIBI approaches. I already discussed that WIBI stands for Women Empowerment through Women Entrepreneurship. So what is this? This is actually an approach which is locally linked and which is also climate resilient, and this is a social business model that focuses on the entrepreneurship approach. And the aim of this approach is to ensure women empowerment and ensure the gender parity. I'm sorry, please give me a moment. Okay, so what gender parity is? This is actually a kind of grammar word. So the gender parity is a
actually ensure the women empowerment by ensuring the gender parity. So this is the overview of our interventions. As we said earlier, that we select the climate vulnerable areas of Bangladesh. So this is well known that Joshua, Khulna and Shatira, this is the three most vulnerable, climate vulnerable districts in Bangladesh. So we selected these, and among these three districts, we selected 9. You can see the sub-districts are written here, so I'm not going through all of them. And in 9 sub-districts, we selected 480 women leaders of the intervention area. We allocated these 480 women to 16 women groups. Okay, so we focus on 2 things in terms of intervention. That is meeting water scarcity, and on the other hand, is the production. So for meeting water scarcity, we introduced the environmentally friendly reverse osmosis system. I will discuss later why I say this is environmentally friendly. Okay. And on the other hand, I say another important innovation is the production. So here we focus on developing the organic agriculture. So in terms of ensuring organic agriculture system, we introduced vermicompost culture, multiple cropping with organic pesticide and pesticide crops, the unseasonal crops, saline tolerant crops, and flower cultivation. And as we say that this approach called WE, women entrepreneurship for the last word, so to establish a business model. So for business model that already you know, the approach named WE. So what we did under WE, we capacitate our women leader, we provide equipment support, and we also try to establish the linkage with all level of stakeholders. This includes the service provider, the government, government stakeholder, the community people, and all important stakeholders, which can be an important part of this approach. Okay. So we also collected some data to see what actually happened and whether our objective made or not. For these, we selected the mixed method type for this research, and for qualitative part, we considered the participatory reaction research, FGD, KRI, and direct observation. Okay, so for the FGD and KRI, we have done 9 FGD and 10 KRI. And for quantitative survey, we considered the exploratory research method, and we did household survey for in-depth understanding, and we considered 196 households. So you can see some photograph here for data collection, where we have done the FCD and also we have done the KI with IND representative, and we also collect the household data. So in my earlier slide, I said environment-friendly power system. So why I say it is environmentally friendly? So here I try to draw the scenario why it is environmentally friendly. So you can see that we interconnected with each other. So first, actually, you probably already know what the reverse osmosis system is. But when we talk environmentally friendly, then we actually add some environment friendly concept into this approach. So how is this? Basically, we know that our system collects the underground water or surface water, which is freely, and then it's cleaned by the osmosis system. But in this particular approach, our system, we also consider the rainwater. But rainwater is not for the the cleaning process and the drinking purpose. We actually, as I say that we firstly considered the surface water and then also the rainwater. So surface water actually goes to the tanker for cleaning process, but the rainwater actually goes the rainwater, it collects the rainwater and it goes the underground water to minimize the underground water gap, so to fill that layer, the underground layer, so that if we collect underground water, this is of course the soil water, so the gap can be minimized by the rainwater. So here you can see this is the process, and lastly is water go to our respected beneficiary who made this process. And on the other hand, the other approach, that is simple production earlier, that we introduce actually a package of agricultural things. That is for crop production, vegetable production, vermicompost production, and there are other interventions like organic pesticides production. So this is all under this production intervention. So now I would like to show you the Nasrin Sultan. As you can see here, she is receiving the award from several ministers of Bangladesh, where you can see in the Zoom where our Honorable Prime Minister is also presented. So who is Nasrin Sultan and why she get this award? Actually, she is one of our beneficiaries who received vermicompost, just only 2 vermicompost pot and like 900 grams of earthworm. So by this, now on, she has an 180 earthen pot and like more than 10 to 12 kilograms of earthworm. So by this, she get very familiarity between her community, and all of her community people know her and appreciate her contribution in producing safe food. So she received the Bangladesh National Agriculture Award as 2001. Also, she honored as Joita and received the Joita Award in 2001. And in the same year, he also awarded economically successful dairy. Okay, and it's not limited here. She also nominated for the prestigious award, that is award, and nominated for the National Youth Councillor for her Ojila, and also she nominated in the Youth Volunteer Award. So here you can see that both the national and local level newspaper published her story, and she gave the appreciation from different departments of government. So, and the next one is about the water, meeting water scarcity. So I would like to introduce with Sheena Bhavani. She is also one of our beneficiaries for the water intervention area, and she had 16 national and international newspaper published her story because she contributed significant contribution to tackling climate change in Bangladesh. And how? I will explain. So her income of for 2022 it was 123 US dollar, and she earned 38% profit in 10 months, which is huge. So by this environment-friendly house system, she produced average 500 liters of water per unit, and because of her contribution, she received a motor van from the government as incentive. And what's limited here, by this intervention, she motivated to manage some money for start other income generating activities. For example, establishing new small stall for like ski stall and other ideas. And this is fascinating that more than 10,000 population raised under street drinking water. So actually, while we are saying that this is significant for Bangladesh context, because in first, if you remember in my methodology section, I say that we selected most climate vulnerable areas So where we can get the water whenever we want, our ladies from the climate vulnerable area have to wait for 4 hours. They have to walk a very long distance and wait for the drinking water and collecting them by all their main members actually do not help by this process. So this is very like painful duty, you know. And on the other hand, sometimes they can't get the fresh water from the water source. So sometimes they have to take water from a surface pond, which is not actually healthy. And for this, they face so many waterborne diseases. So this is the reason we established the environment-friendly power system. And on the other hand, as we can see the gender gap, because our women do not have the economic power, and that's the reason they can't talk to their family. They can't even in family discussion or even in their personal life. So this activity was in May. So because by this, we want to achieve two things. One is we want to achieve the gender empowerment and gender equality by women empowerment and gender parity. And on the other hand, we wanted to meet the scarcity of food and water. Okay. So what we find from our research, so in terms of meeting water scarcity, we have seen that the income of our vulnerable women is gradually increased, and they become the central factor of influencing the decision-making process. Okay, not limited here. So they increase their business portfolio and besides their already successful initiative that I already talked about, like installing small-scale tea stall and rearing cow or chicken, you know? Okay. And as in the previous slide, I already said that basically women and girls are involved for collecting the water. So now, as the our system has established and people can get their desired water from sitting at home, so now girls and women can devote more time and attention to their studies. As you can see, the cost of collecting and transporting water is no longer burden they have to bear. Okay. And we will see that some women empowerment also is occurring. How? Because our women entrepreneurs actually empower their community by providing employment. For example, they are women leaders, but they provide jobs to some men for drinking water as a driver. So they also open this scope for employment for other men women. And this is also emerging that some increasing number of women are becoming the shareholders in the RO, and they are receiving comprehensive training, production, marketing, promotion, and sales. This is so fascinating that the women who used to work for just care work, and now they feel that they have to do something for their own. So they need to involve with the income generating activities. So they are motivating and they actively participate in the family discussion. They are playing a vital role as decision makers. This is so influential, so fascinating in our results. Okay. On the other hand, with that was safety production, you can see the lady which is who is holding the vermicompost in her hand. She is Roshana Begum, and she lives in Lago. Lago is the most vulnerable and climate vulnerable areas in Bangladesh. This is located in Khulna district. So this is actually saline prone area where no vegetable, like not every type of vegetable, maximum you can't really give the excessive saline. People are used to use the chemical fertilizer like you said, beauty, as you remember, and protect she will be competition. So we should remember. So this is called the women empowerment. How women can achieve their empowerment by their own. They don't need anyone. They can do it by their own. Just they need the motivation. They need the right information, the right approach. So by this we can see how women approach is leading the process of being empowerment and ensuring the gender parity. So the another one was we wanted to increase we wanted to ensure that environmental sustainability is ensuring the climate resilient approach is being used by our women approach. So is this done? Of course. So by our vermicompost approach, we see that vermicompost increases our productivity. How we can see that it stimulates the plant growth. It also, not only the vermicompost, but its leaches are also important for promoting plant growth. And also, it promotes the seed germination. It stimulates the basic growth. And also stimulates the plant flowering and increases the number of biomass. And thus, the higher productivity has ensured without applying the chemical fertilizer and chemical pesticides. And here, we can see that applying chemical fertilizer, our soil fertility decrease. But in terms of applying vermicompost, the scenario is so fascinating because vermicompost not only increases the crop productivity but also boosts the soil fertility because it increases soil organic matter. Also, it increases important component that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in the soil. It balances the soil's pH level. Also, it reduces the bacterial fungal growth and increases the soil's capacity to waterlog. And finally, it improves the soil textures and makes the soil more unique. Okay, so I'm approaching the conclusion. So actually, in our research, there are some limitations too. Like it was not possible to measure the climate effect and the underground saline level. And as you can see, the establishment cost of RO is so high, so the maintenance cost of RO is also huge. And one concerning issue is that river osmosis systems are currently powered entirely by electricity. But we wanted to introduce the solar power in future, but right now no previous attempts have been made to explore the use of solar power properly in the RO system. Okay, so we wanted to get some future research about solid waste disposal and management and the small-scale enterprise using solid non-degradable waste. As we know that women are basically not responsible, actually involved with waste management and disposal system. So we want to see how our women can more conscious or more empowered by these two activities. And in the last four pictures, you can see that women are preparing some ornaments, some money bags, some bags, and some other things, other goods that is actually everyday needs for their family, for other purposes. So in terms of rather using the polythene or polythene package every day, we can make our own bag from the wastes. You can see that women are not putting the bag. It's actually totally made out of the food package, the WFP's food package, you know. So, this kind of intervention is not limited here. In the gallery, you can see there are numerous types of products. You can make ornaments out of these waste and our necessary things. Okay, so finally, we would like to thank these stakeholders for providing fund support, technical support, implementation support, and research
Thank you very much, Kusnur, for your fascinating presentation. And actually, Kusnur is developing as the main actor in Bangladesh, as like you can see from her research and presentation. And we have to move to the last but not least, our fellows from Thailand. Professor Pam, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, okay. Yes, sure. Your voice are clear. Thank you very much, Professor. And if I can read shortly and briefly, Professor Kanapom Pam Akara Pisan is from the Payap University, and she's got her degree from Thammasat University, and she's right now as the special program manager from Payap University of KAICIID, or the the International Dialogue Center. Is an intergovernmental founded to promote international and interreligious studies. So this is very correlated with the first speaker, Kak Jessie, and this IGO is one to promote sustainable peace. So we have to hear some of your experience, Professor. Maybe you have 20 until 25 minutes from now. The time is yours.
Thank you very much, Tunjung. Hello, assalamualaikum to all, and good morning to all of you. I don't know, it's still morning. We don't have any difference in time zone, right? And oh my God. Anyway, I have to update you a little bit that I also did my master's degree from Western Michigan University. If I have a what do you call it, classmate in here, ITU, and I gotta admit, feel so small by the materials of my first three sisters. I have no material to show you at all. Actually, I am not a very academic-oriented presenter. I just love to discuss and share experience. I think it has problem with the sound. Is it okay? You can hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. It's okay.
Okay, because it's kind of like stagnant over here, which is like it has been good all morning. I don't know. Okay, I'll continue. I mean, when the organizer reached me and told me that she wanted me to talk about gender in international relations, I just like, oh my gosh, this is very sensitive and but popular topic to talk nowadays. And why sensitive? In my feeling, I mean, way back there when it was a lot younger, we have gender like male and female. That's already a challenge, and we haven't got any solution for the inequality between male and female, and now we have other genders, like depends on how people describe themselves. So it means it's even more complicated and very sensitive in my field to talk about this topic. But anyway, I just come here and share with you my experience and stuff. I think first of all, when we talk about the gender within our society is one thing, but if we bring it up to the international stage, you have to be, I mean, we have to be more, because it's not us, like Pam talking about gender, but it will become Thailand about gender, or Muslim Islam about gender, or something like that. So I have to tell you beforehand that all I say over here is on my behalf, not on behalf of my country or my. I mean, let me share
how you describe yourself, you can be here with not many difficulties. We are not having like government politics and stuff because now genders became what we call the politics issues in Thailand also. If you follow a bit news of Thailand, you will hear that we just finished our election, and then the party that got landslide votes from people. One of the policy that they announced, they promised the people of Thailand is the equal marriage or equality in genders. So it becomes politics in Thailand. It becomes a lot. I mean, if you go to Thai's Facebook or channels, TV channels, radio channels, once a day you will hear about genders, about LGBT, about queer, about so things like that happen in Thailand. And I think the first two sisters material presentation that you showed that can apply to this stage of international also. So I'm just going to, lately in Thailand, we have two Buddhist monks who decided to disrobe gender and become very famous. One became very as she wished. So that kind of thing is happening in our world right now, in our society right now. So I mean, maybe I am from Gen X. So please, I know you might think that, oh, you are dinosaur or something like that. But I'm from Gen X, so this difference in genders made me feel amazed sometimes. Even me and my children has some gap of opinion or ideas because they were born with something that I was not born with. So sometimes when I see a transgender walk by, I stare, but because of amazement, and then my kids just like, that's so normal, and that happened to my friends, my generation also. So each generation view this topic differently also, and then if we don't try to understand it or be careful about it, so even a small gap in the very small section of society which we call family can be problem already. So that's why I think my point at bigger society, then we have to be very careful, very sensitive about this topic when we talk about it, when we share our opinions, or when we try to be opinionated. Okay? So if you ask me on my own behalf, I myself still will go for the word genders for male and female, but I will not judge other who to describe the word or explain the word differently. I have LGBTQ students, I have LGBTQ friends, and then I befriend with them. I relate to them like I relate to others. I don't hate them, but you will never see me tell them that, wow, what you are doing or what you are being is so cool. I will never say that because I am not for it, but I'm not against it. So my point is, we have to stop. If we want better society, so we need a live dialogue, and we have to stop judging. We don't judge that, hey, right, your gender is not right, my gender is something like that. So we leave that to, as a person who believes in God, leave that to God, leave that to Allah. That's my opinion. So you still can. For my generation, I think what I'm concerned as generation, Gen X, I'm concerned that how our society will be watching a movie, watching a show, then you have to keep continually looking at it, and then we will know at the end how it comes up. So I will not use a lot of time over here because I love to have more discussion. I don't like talking by myself that long. So that's it for now. And then I'd love to talk to all, or if you have questions or about Thailand, about the situation and stuff like that, let's share that. Is that fair enough?
Okay, that's fair enough. Thank you very much, Professor Pam, for your presentation. Okay, right now I'm here alone. Does anyone want to accompany me here? So I'm not alone. Okay, we have to go to the next session. This session is the Q&A session. And we have to, I will open the first term. The first term consists of 3 questions. And if it was fulfilled by 3 questions, I will open the second term that also consists of 3 questions too. So, does anyone here want to ask the speaker? You can go to the standing microphone on the left side. And is there any? Oh, on the left side. And you please mention your institution name and maybe your, if you are not from the international relation, you can mention to your study program too. Any questions? Okay, you can go to the standing microphone there. Exanti and the male there. Okay, the second one. Please mention your question. Who are you addressed to? Kak Jessie, Professor Pam, Miss Kusnur, or Miss Irene? Please give your question.
Okay. First of all, my name is Abel. I'm from UKSW, International Relations. Honestly, my question is for Mrs. Iren. Maybe the other speakers want to answer it. My question is, as Mrs. Iren said before, we have to respect and understand each other in our real community to be connected.
Sorry, can you please repeatedly and slowly so I can hear your voice clearly?
Okay, I'm sorry. As Mrs. Iren said before, we have to respect and understand each other in our real community to be connected. As a Greek person who also expert in theological things, I want to ask for your opinions or suggestions to religious people how to respect some human rights which are slightly contrary to the teachings of the religions. Like LGBT, for an example, we know that our religions is not for our is for ourselves and not for the other who doesn't want to. But sometimes it's hard to think and do it that way. Is that clear?
So if I can wrap up, I can catch up of your question too. The question is to
Mrs. Iren, but it's openly to the other speakers who want to answer it.
Okay. Your question is actually the question is respect each other and the concept of the religion and the basis of the LGBTQ point of view.
Yeah, which are slightly contrary to some religions.
Okay, thank you, Abel. We have to go to the next speaker, to the next asker. Exanti, please give your question. Please read it slowly.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. For this time, I want to ask, I have 2 questions. The first question is for Miss Jessie, Kak Jessie, and the second question is for all the speakers. The first is LGBT normal for Indonesian people? Because as explained in South Sulawesi, there is also a gender that
I'm sorry, Exanti, can you please louder?
Okay.
Is LGBT normal for Indonesian people? Because, as explained in South Sulawesi, there is also a gender that has similarities with LGBT itself. And how does gender justice respond to that? And second question is for all the speakers. Small action like what that we can do as a student to voice gender justice, for the gender equality itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Exanti and Abel. Does anyone here have a question too? Okay, maybe if we just have to, we can go to the first question. If I can read it again, this is can to Professor Pam, Kak Jessie, and also Kusnur if you want to respond to the question. The question is, how is the respects each other if we have a different religion and religion have their perspective in the LGBTQ+. Thank you very much. This is the first question to all of the speaker. The time is yours to answer.
Should we let the first person be asked to answer first?
It's freely okay, Professor Pam. If you want to ask, if you want to answer the first question, firstly you can go on.
I think Abel mentioned the name that he really directly asked him to, or it doesn't matter. Why is she right now? Should she go first?
Yeah, you can go first to the first question. From the Abel's question, you can answer it because he asked for the three speakers to answer it.
Okay. Okay, Abel. And that's a very good question. And I think as a Muslim, and I think Islam, Christianity, and Jewish, Abrahamic religions share some. Our book, our kitab, say something about this issue or this topic. Then world right now, if you ask me that, how can you? If I correct about your question, you just said as a religion, how can you respect the genders of many different description? I think for me, that's for me. I like I say, we have to stop judging, no judgment, and see the person as a human. Look over and see past through what they are. You know, you don't see a tomboy, you don't see a transgender, you see a person, a human in there, and then you relate with a human person with kindness, be friends, with understanding. But again, you need to stand firm on your standpoint. Like I say, I will never say, I will never encourage my students who have different genders than male and female that, oh, what you are doing is so cool, go for it, something like that. I will not touch on that topic at all, but I will not hurt them. It's not my duty. Okay? Some scholar in Islam, if they are scholar, they might say that, oh, you will go direct to hell, you will go hell, hell, hell. It's not our judgment to say that the person will go to hell or heaven, because we don't see the heart of the person. It's only Allah who see the heart, so let Allah do the judgment, the duty. So as a human being, I don't know, I may be too old for your generation and say that it's what I'm practicing too. I mean, I practice that in my daily life because I have a lot. I went to many stages. I talked to kids, and I got a lot of lots of hats and see lots of people and of all genders. So that's, I will repeat I'll be glad. If not, I'm so sorry that I can't. If I don't answer or cover all your questions, I'm sorry. So stop judging. See one another as a human, and also be firm on your stand, on your belief. Is that good enough? Thank you, Adele, and everyone.
Thank you, Professor Pam. Maybe Kak Jessie, do you want to respond the Abel's questions?
Okay, thank you, Abel, and also Asha for the question, I think, that addressed to me. Probably, first of all, I totally agree with Professor Pam that I think the term of human rights or LGBTIQ plus or queer or even religions, despite of what
Thank you, Kak Jesse. Kusnur, do you want to respond the first question from Abel?
Yes, thank you for giving me the
Okay.
So, first of all, I'd like to thank to our speaker, Mr. Khan and Jesse. Thank you so much. Actually, I completely agree with you. But another thing I would like to add, that is to we can use the influential power of our faith leaders. As you can see, you know that in our community, so as a normal people, as a normal person, if I say that don't do gender-based violence, because it is a sin, then normal people will not listen that carefully, that influentially. But it's the same thing said, but they will think and they will consider this because community people used to know that religious leader, faith leader has the important knowledge about, the religious aspect knowledge they gain, so they can give them the right instruction, the right direction, you know. So if we can motivate our religious leader, faith leader, maybe it's imam, maybe it's the purohit, and maybe it's the father of the church. So whenever they meet with the normal people in terms of prayer or preaching, so that time during their preaching, they can discuss about gender equality, referencing their political point of view. For example, in Islam, it says that our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that never force a woman. You can never force a woman or man, whoever it is for marriage. But in our society, we see that guardians are the only decision maker about their child. Think, okay, the person for marriage with you, and you have to say yes, no other option. But this is actually prohibited by Islam. And if you see carefully in our religion, in terms of Hindu, Christian, Buddha, so all the religions actually say that no pressure, no force. So there are several other references that is consistent in every single religion. So if we can utilize this increasing power of a faith leader, I think that the gender responsive community also we say that we want to ensure the gender equality, gender equality, and gender parity. So I think this can be a significant approach for ensuring all of this. Thank you. If you have another question, I would like to respond.
Thank you very much, Kusnur. Give an applause to all of three speakers. And we have to move to our second question. The question is from Exanti, and the first question from Exanti is directly mentioned to Kak Jessie. The question is that the concept of the LGBT is not normal, and we have some of cases the concept of death penalty or the discrimination. I think the question is not correlate with the first question from Abel, but I think this ex-ante mention is the context of Indonesia and the context of your presentation, Kak Jessie. Maybe you can answer first, and we have after that we can move to the second question of ex-ante. The time is yours, Kak Jessie.
We know that the discrimination against the gender minorities occurs against not only gender minorities, but also young minorities. But we also know that there are still probably ended up with marginalizing others or the minorities. That's also interesting thing about how we see the gender minorities in terms of or in context of Indonesia. But in case of my presentation for about the BC community, what I want to explain actually is related to the hegemony of masculinity and the crisis of the heterosexuality. I think it is also intertwined with the religious fundamentalism because this community is proved that we are, as Indonesian, we have the culture that inherently very tolerant to differences, right? And I think we have to be very careful to see and to understand how this knowledge not to be eliminated because of the hegemony of the masculinity and the crisis of heterosexuality. And also, I think what we have to understand also is that the anti-LGBT turn in 2016, or the conservative turn in another terms, that affected our understanding towards the minority groups in this hope that the indigenous queers, for instance, the Bisu group or the Balian and Pasir or the Manang Bali. When I worked, I had to see the Bisu community was very struggling to maintain their roles and positions because this negative stigmas that using against them. The agenda is actually only for, for keeping or for maintaining their roles and positions in the rituals because the rituals is their identity. It is sacred for them. But because the anti-LGBT sentiments that growing up inside the society at some extent, it makes them cannot do the rituals, which is a very, very central to their existence. And it is very sad to have witnessed such thing. And I think we have to be very, very critical about that heteropatriarchal notions that becomes handles our thinking, that becomes the base of the formations about what the normal and not normal or right. Thank you, Lizzie. I hope that answers Ashley's questions.
Thank you, Kak Jessie, for your answer. Okay, we have to move to second questions of Eksanti to all of the speakers. Actually, the question is, how can we promote the gender equality as a student? Maybe for note, Kak Jessie, if you have to prepare your dissertation dissemination, you can leave and just take a note. Okay, the first person may be Professor Pam. Do you want to answer the second question? The small actions from the students to promote the gender equality. Thank you. The time is yours, Professor.
That's very hard to, I would say by action, by example. You, by yourself, you don't look down on any gender, or you befriend it or be kind of like I say, you don't judge anybody, you just befriend a human being. That will help, and then you might maybe become a club, a group that what do you call, or maybe the dialogue, the life dialogue, to come to the understanding of each other, to kind of like get over the what do you call
Thank you, Professor Pam. Maybe the second question and the second answer, Kak Jesse, do you want to answer the second question too?
Probably to give you, as my conclusion words also, I have to agree with what Kusur and Professor Pham already said, that perhaps the most important thing is know our cultures and start a dialogue and always distance ourselves from judgments about any values attached to society and always ask that to ourselves and start also with a friendship to other people, even those we think are very different with us. I think that's for me. And maybe I will just advance. I have to excuse myself with you if that's okay.
Is
And I have yeah. I would like to thank you again to you and other excellent speakers, Rustur and also Reverend Iran and Professor Pan. Thank you for sharing the panel with me today.
Thank you, Kak Jesse. Good luck for your dissertation.
Thank you so much, Chris. Be well. To everyone, and until I see you again soon. Thank you so much, studio, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kak Jesse. Give applause to Kak Jesse. And maybe, Kusnur, do you want to respond to the second question of Exanti, that how can we promote the gender equality as a student? The time is yours, Kusnur.
Thank you so much. And I would like to thank Ms. Candy for asking this important and beautiful question. So, as I said earlier about utilizing the influential power of faith leaders, so I will not be emphasizing again on this topic. But the important thing is, as a student, actually we have inevitable role to our play, to our society, for ensuring the gender equality, the gender parity. Okay? So my suggestion is to start from you. So think different from the traditional gender norms. Okay? So you have to think different. For example, here you can see that those we are discussing on an important topic. So whenever you judge that she's a female, she can't do it, she can't discuss what she knows, so stop judging and emphasize what Professor Pham. So I would also so that
Kusnur, do you hear me? I think your connection is unstable and I can hear clearly your voice.
it is to start from you. Think again. Ask yourself that am I doing all the gender equitable norms? Am I following this particular issue, particular point? Okay. And there are actually several ways that you can promote the gender equality. For example, do a campaign, or in our organization actually, this is our practice that in every one day of each week. So we dedicated this day, not the entire day, for example, half an hour or 1 hour, to discuss more about some skills, some gender norms, and other skill development things. So you can also have this type of group or discussion where everyone will share their experience, their knowledge, their ideas about how gender equality can be promoted. So you can do this, and you can do some campaign, and is I think that the most important thing, and also in our organization we are following this, we same channel, oh, see where it is. So following this, I think these some aspects, I'm sure that not completely you can promote, but you will close to promote that centered fund to others. Thank you very much. I hope the question is answered.
Thank you, Kusnur. Give applause to Kusnur, please. And do you still have any questions to the last two speakers, guys? Okay, please, the man there, and maybe Jovanka, you can go too. This is the last two questions, and we have to close our seminar. So, go on, please.
Okay, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm going to ask a question to, actually I'm going to ask about to Miss Jessie, but since Miss Jessie is off, I'm going to change to Miss Pam, Miss Irene, and Miss Kusnur. The question is about what are the changes in the acceptance and protection of queer rights at the international level, since significant advancements have been made in LGBTQ+ rights in various countries, such as the legalization of same-sex marriage and the implementation of anti-discrimination measures.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
My name is Max.
And can you repeat it slowly so I can hear you and the speaker can hear your voice clearly too?
Okay, I'm sorry. The question is about what are the changes in the acceptance and protection of queer rights at the international level, since significant advancements have been made in LGBTQ+ rights in various countries, such as the legalization of same-sex marriage and the implementation of anti-discrimination measures.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Jovanka as the last asker.
Okay, so my name is Jovanka. I'm from Satya Wacana Christian University. I want to ask a question for Professor Pam. Can boys love movies or dramas itself become a supporter of Thailand's nation branding? Because we all know that Thailand produces so many boys love and girls love movies and dramas. And as you said before, Thailand is heaven for them. And it's not only for boys, but for all part of LGBTQ+. Thank you.
Please, as like I said before to the questioner before, please read it slowly so I can hear your voice.
Okay. I want to ask a question for Professor Pam. Can boys love movies or dramas itself become a supporter of Thailand nation branding? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, the first question is addressed to Professor Pam and Kusnur. The question is the concept of the changes in acceptance of the LGBTQI+ in the context of sex marriage and etc. And the second question is from Jovanka, is addressed to Professor Pam. The question is the boys movies in Thailand supporter. What is that LGBTQ supporter and the national branding of Thailand, that acceptance of the LGBTQ+. Maybe Professor Pam, do you want to answer firstly?
I mean, for the first question, I'm not sure about, I heard that not right, but he asked that what's the development of LGBTQ acceptance in the world, right? I think it depends. It depends on each country. You have to Google it and then mean, that I told you from the beginning that from the election, the latest election, the party that got landslide votes because they promised the people marriage. So I don't know if they become, if they are lucky enough to become a government of Thailand, next government of Thailand. So Thailand might become a country that allows legally for LGBT to stay to be a couple legally. I don't know, but if you ask me, if that's what your question is, I think you can go acceptance at one at a place, and if each place still got different acceptance or not, or against and for, I mean everywhere. Yeah, and then can I answer to the second question right away? Thank you so much for addressing that to me. And then, yeah, I'd like to share with you that ways back there, we don't allow what we call lady boys or tomboys to show up on the TV. But right now, I mean, slowly, bit by bit, and then, like I told you, Thai society is very easy to open up and accept and welcome all kinds of people, all kinds of genders. So now, yes, they allow lady boys, they allow women, we still call it, we call women act like men and boy. So they all can be on movies, they all can be national branding. And I mean, it just yesterday, let me share this with you. This became a viral issue in Thailand, that one lady voice who was famous, not was, he is a very famous face on movies and on advertisements, but he decided to become a monk because all Thai men, all Buddhist men in Thailand, before marriage or before, I mean, at one certain age, they want to pay marriage for their mom, their dad by becoming a monk. So this lady boy became a monk, and then I mean, social media in Thailand is all almost, I mean, it's just like, woo, like firecracker viral that he is not supposed to be ordained because he's a lady boy. So we have lots of pro and then we have lots of con on that. So I hope I answered your question. Yes, we have so many lady boys and then tomboys on our movies, on our advertisements and stuff, but still in the religion, still an issue. I mean, among Buddhism monks and Buddhist people. Is that good enough?
Yeah, that's very good enough, Professor. Thank you very much. And we've got to the Kusnur. Do you want to respond the question that from the first person, the changes and in acceptance of LGBTQI plus?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bang, this is the scenario that in Islamic country, particularly in Islamic country, it is prohibited to marry in same sex, or you cannot change your gender, I mean, change your sex, or you cannot pretend like you are a male, so you cannot pretend like female, or if you are a female, you cannot pretend like male. But in our society, actually, the existence of LGBTQ is there. So, marriage in their same community, for example, LGBTQ with another transgender, they can marry, but in our society, a normal, I mean, like a female or a male cannot marry with the other transgender. This is one thing, and another thing is that I said earlier, as Bangladesh is the main religion of Bangladesh is Islam. This is Islamic country. I was Muslim. So in our country, by Islamic rules and also by government rules, this is not allowed. Okay. But if you ask what is global acceptance,
Is that enough, Kusnur?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, thank you very much. Because the limitation of the time, we have to end this session, and I'll give. Oh, sorry, we have answer from Mrs. Iron Lujitu for Exanti and other students. I'll read it for Exanti from the Zoom meeting. For Exanti, genuine participation, including the form of solidarity, is only possible through self-consciousness. So my suggestion is start by working on the quality of your personhood in order to create change in the community. Transformation or metanoia comes from with you. Teacher talk about dialogue. Dialogue, genuine dialogue based on the specific pain. So what pain are you experiencing? Start from there. Peter's talk further about the constant readiness to act with others who are suffering. Plan an action. Do something. Speak up when you witness gender injustice. And the answer from Mrs. Luji for Abel and Max. As a religious person, as Christians, as a part of a Christian university, we are taught to see others as imago Dei. Others are created in the image of God. In reflection, you can see others as created in the image of God. Wouldn't you respect them to love them too? I cannot speak on behalf of the country, but I believe the change will eventually happen. Stay hopeful. So this is the end of the session, and I'll give the time back to Alpha.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Tunjung Wijanarka. You may now sit with the audience down there. And for now, may I invite my partner, where is she? Angeline, please come to the stage. Don't leave me alone. All right, but first, we want to extend our most profound thanks to Mr. Tunjung Wijanarka for moderating our discussion, and also to all the speakers, especially those who joined us virtually, like Madam Patsy Ismoyo, Ms. Kusnur Jahan, Madam Professor Kanapon Pam Akrapisan, and Madam Iran Luji. We say thank you very much for such a great discussion and for such a great new insights that they all have given us today.
Yes, and Alpha, don't forget to all the participants who asked some interesting questions in making our discussion more lively.
Indeed, Angie.
So, Alpha, now let's move to the next session, which is the documentation and photo session. But first, may I invite the chairman of the committee, Mr. Roberto Seba, and also may I invite Mr. Tunjung Wijanarka to receive the certificate as the moderator for today's discussion.
All right, Mr. Roberto and Mr. Tunjung, you may come to the stage, and also an information for all the speakers who attended this event virtually. Don't be sad, don't worry, because you all will receive your very own certificate in digital form. Isn't that correct, Angie?
Yes.
And it will be sent out to your email, so check out in your
email.
inbox or perhaps in spam section. All right, where's committee for the certificate and the souvenir for Mr. Tunjung Wijanarka? Perhaps you should stand and move aside a little bit, Angie. All right, we are waiting for you, ma'am. Okay. All right, thank you so very much, Mr. Roberto Seba and Mr. Tunjung Wijanarka. Now, Angie, what's next?
Okay, so the next agenda is the photo session. So may I ask for the documentation and publication department to take over the session?
All right. Mr. Neil, how? What? All right. Oh, okay. The publication and documentation department asked for all participants to come down here so we can take a picture together with all the speakers who joined us virtually. Because if we're going to take the angel from here, then we couldn't see the speakers who attended this event virtually. So may I invite for all of the participants who attended in person in here to come down, perhaps go below the stage or right in the stage so we can take a clear picture from, oh yeah, okay. Okay, perhaps we're gonna move some of this table. And we're also asking for all of the speakers who joined us virtually to turn your camera on because we're going to take a picture together with all the participants who attended here. And perhaps some of the participants who joined us virtually too, to turn on the camera. Yes, in here, exactly, yeah. Come on, all right. Don't be shy, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a... All right. Okay. Don't walk too slowly, ladies and gentlemen, because we have to... Oh yeah, all right. Guys, you may go right into the stage, onto the stage.
Hurry up, hurry up.
All right. And for all the lecturers, may stand and
Take the position on the
yes,
center.
indeed.
Yes.
Being at the forefront
Yep.
on the stage.
That's right, Alpha.
All right. Mr. Sasela, you may count for us so that we could prepare our best pose.
Count to 3.
All right. All right. Okay, you may count. Not yet, not yet. Stay on the stage. Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated for a while before we close our seminar for today. Because we have started the seminar with a prayer, perhaps we're going to close with a prayer too. Okay, maybe it's going to take a while for you all to be seated. All right. Okay. A little bit more, and all gonna be seated.
Hurry, hurry.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. But now, sadly, Angie, we have to conclude today's seminar.
Indeed, Alpha, but before we bring our activities to close, we are going to end it with a prayer. To lead us in closing prayer, may I invite Ms. Raisa Jaranga to come to the stage.
Ms. Raisa Jaranga, please lead the prayer.
Okay, so before we end the seminar, let me lead us into the prayer. I will lead the prayer in my personal belief, which is Protestant, and you could pray in your respective belief. Dear Lord God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather today. Be with us as we leave this meeting. Help us walk with confidence and lead us with your truth as we move forward. Praise you and live our lives in this world. Accept our gratitude and allow us to depart from this place with a full mind and soul as we go to various destinations. All these things we pray through your mighty Son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jopang, for leading us in the closing prayer. For your information, ladies and gentlemen, for all of those who asked questions earlier, you may now, not now, but later, after this seminar, take your a souvenir from us, from the committee, to you who asked the question. You may find it on Andro, right there on my left-hand side. All right, thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our seminar. And once again, we want to say thank you to all the distinguished guests, all the speakers who joined us in person, or also speakers who joined us via virtual platform from all around the world. Also, thank you to the moderator for leading us in our discussion and all participants for taking part in this great discussion. I also want to say thank you, a special thanks even to my partner Angie for being such a beautiful woman today and for being so helpful for me today in hosting this seminar. And for now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Alpha Podo and my partner.
And I'm Angeline Patti. We are signing out from our task as your host for today's seminar. Thank you for your participation and see you in another and more insightful seminar in the near future.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. For all of those who wonders how to fill in the certificate. All right. May the committee shows the barcode on the screen so they may scan the barcode. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you may please scan this QR code to fill in the attendance. All right. And that's all for today. I think we can sign out for real right now. Angie, let's say thank you again to all those who participate in this seminar. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.